Hey fellow founders, this is Anatoly from CXDojo here, and this is our Technology Corner. Today's topic is unit testing and how it can impact the economy of your project. As you're watching this video, if you have any questions about unit testing, pop them straight into the comments below. First things first, what are unit tests? Unit tests are tiny little functions that are written by your developers and that meant to test their code. They may also serve as a live technical documentation, but it doesn't really matter for the topic of this video. So you may ask, if unit tests are so good, why on earth we are filming this video? Stay tuned and you will find out. Say you have a product idea and a minimal budget, and you've heard that unit testing may benefit your project, but your developers say they need another 15 to 100% for writing unit tests. And now you're not sure whether you have to do everything by the book or you can just release earlier if you don't even know that your idea is viable. Another concern derives from the first one, and it's the lack of practice in writing unit tests. See, these days not so many projects decide to go on with unit tests right from the early stages. They just don't have the right habits, and with this unit testing adoption dynamics, most likely they never will. So as a result, we have an infinite loop where developer doesn't know how to write unit tests and they need time to learn how to do that. And founders doesn't want to overpay for their developers to learn how to write unit tests. But if investments in tests are unreasonable, why are we keep doing them? I can give you the number of reasons you may find on the internet. Say unit testing helps your code meet code standards, blah 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 blah. But I'm an engineer in my head and I trust numbers. So let's talk numbers. But before we start operating with large amount of numbers, let me do a small disclaimer. We'll take a Scrum methodology as an example of software development because of two reasons. First, they have iterations, and second, they operate with story points. Story points are just a virtual metric to measure the amount of to be performed by the team. And iteration is just a fixed amount of time which is used by the team to deliver the functionality. Okay, let's take the standard iteration for the team that doesn't write unit tests and see what's going on inside. We'll use 12 story points as a delivery goal for the team, just for ease of calculations in the future, and we'll consider that 1 hour the developer spends writing her code, QA engineer spends 1 hour testing it. Let's use these pizzas to illustrate how developers and QA time is distributed during the iteration. So if developers don't write unit tests, they need about 10 to 20% to design the features they are going to build. Next, they spend around 50 to 60% for the actual development. After that, they need about 20 to 40% for the bug fixing. While developers doing their job, QA time is distributed slightly different. So they spend a lot of time designing test cases. Actually, it takes about 50 to 60%. Also, they spend around 30 to 35% on supporting developers by testing half-ready features. The last but not least, QA spend around 10 to 15% to execute test cases they previously designed to make sure everything was developed correctly. So as you can see, this little piece right here will have to be transferred to all the following iterations in order to make sure that developers haven't broken anything done previously. If we take 10% of QA team time and we'll be adding it to all the future iterations, after 10 iterations, QA team will not be able to do anything but regression testing. Now, let's see what will happen if team decides to move forward with unit testing. And I have to tell you, it will be really hard for them to start. So their performance will drop dramatically, and we expect they to deliver 2 times less at the very beginning as they would do without unit tests. So we consider them deliver 6 story points in the first couple sprints. Then, as they develop the skill of writing unit tests, they will be delivering more and more and more until they reach the plateau. Let's see what will be the distribution of team effort if they do unit tests. Let's use these pepperonis to illustrate how developers and QA time is distributed when team decides to move on with unit tests. If we use these tiny little pepperonis as unit tests, we already see that we have 50% coverage here. But to do their job, developers need to spend more time designing the feature they're going to build, because not only they have to design their features, they also have to design the test cases they're going to write. So they spend around 20% purely designing the code. Next one, since we are doing less features, we spend less time coding them. So developers spend around 30 to 40% for the actual development. And also they spend around 20 to 30% writing the unit test. And the good thing is, since we are doing less features and we are doing more testing, we need to spend only from 10 to 20% bug fixing. From the QA standpoint, everything is pretty much the same, so we just pick the best slice of the pizza and try it out. With graduate velocity progression, team would require 14 sprints to complete same functionality they would deliver if they weren't doing unit tests. Doesn't sound fascinating, right? We just spent 40% more money and all we've got is just more manageable code? The magic happens when we extend our development for another 10 iterations. In the first case, where team doesn't use unit tests, they will start suffering from regression issues eventually and their velocity starts falling down. While in the second case, with unit tests, team velocity will continue be more or less the same after reaching a plateau. What I'm trying to say is that the more you work on a project, the more you benefit from your unit tests. If you have any questions or you want to dive deeper into the math, feel free to visit our website using the link in the description of this video and explore all the calculations in details. Let me give you another example. As a metaphor, think of sports. You start working out, but you can't find any rhythm. Everything seems to ache. And sometimes you just feel too lazy to put on sneakers and do more push-ups. It seems like every step is so hard and you are constantly thinking about going home and getting back into bed. However, working out does get easier eventually. Like anything else, the more you do a specific activity, the more your body and mind gets used to it. You see? If you work out consistently, then at some point you'll probably start to know what to expect. You'll find what works best for you in terms of energy and performance. I'm not saying doing sport is easy or life is easy. Neither are. But sport is measurable. We count miles, squats, push-ups, minutes, and it helps us see where we were at the beginning and where we have come. This teaches us one simple thing. Effort brings result. No effort brings nothing. Effort is worth it. Remember that when you will be thinking about skipping another unit test. So guys, as you can see, the more you work on your product, the more you gain from your unit test. And really, I haven't seen a lot of products that have stopped their development after reaching an MVP stage. So, in my opinion, it is worth investing in unit testing even if your team doesn't know how to write them, because in future you'll gain a lot more than if you skip this step. Let's create something awesome together. Bye bye.